Buried secrets, what history never wanted to reveal, when the past hides in the shadows. The history we know through schoolbooks is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the crystalline surface of official facts lies a deep and mysterious ocean of secrets that have shaped the world in ways we never imagined. These secrets are not just curiosities forgotten by time. They are fundamental pieces of a gigantic puzzle that, when assembled, reveal a reality completely different from the one we were taught. For centuries, powerful organizations, governments, and institutions kept crucial information from the public, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of political expediency, and often simply because the truth was considered too dangerous to share. But times have changed, and today, through declassified documents, surprising archaeological discoveries, and courageous testimonies from people who chose to break their silence, we can finally begin to unravel these mysteries. This text is a journey through humanity's best-kept secrets. These aren't baseless conspiracy theories, but rather documented facts that have been deliberately omitted or distorted over the years. Prepare to discover that the real story is far more fascinating, complex, and sometimes disturbing than any fiction. The Vatican's secret archives, in the heart of Rome, protected by centuries-old walls and guarded by one of the oldest and most powerful institutions in the world, lie the Vatican secret archives. For over 400 years, these archives remained completely closed to the public, fueling speculation about what kind of information might be hidden within their dusty shelves. In 2019, something extraordinary happened. Pope Francis made a historic decision and partially opened the archives related to the pontificate of Pius XIII, known as Hitler's Pope due to the controversies surrounding his stance during World War II. What was revealed surprised even the most seasoned historians. The documents revealed that the Vatican knew far more about the Holocaust than it had ever publicly admitted. Secret correspondence revealed that detailed information about the concentration camps regularly reached the papal offices through a complex network of priests, bishops, and diplomats spread across Europe. Even more shocking, some documents suggest that the Vatican possessed detailed maps showing the exact location of the extermination camps, but the secrets of the archives go far beyond World War II. Medieval documents reveal that the Church possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy centuries before Galileo, including evidence that some clergy already suspected that the Earth revolved around the Sun. Why then was Galileo persecuted? The answer lies in preserved letters that show that the issue was not really scientific, but political. Publicly accepting that the Earth was not the center of the universe would have meant admitting that many basic church teachings were incorrect. Even more intriguing are the records of contact with non-European civilizations. Documents from the 15th century reveal that Jesuit missionaries brought back from the Americas not only reports of gold and silver, but also detailed descriptions of advanced technologies used by indigenous peoples, sophisticated irrigation systems, impressive medical techniques, and astronomical knowledge rivaling that of contemporary Europeans were systematically suppressed to maintain the narrative that the savages of the New World were primitive and in need of civilization. The archives also contain evidence that the Vatican maintained spies in every major European court, a network of informants, many of them confessed informants of kings and queens, regularly reported on military plans, secret alliances, and personal scandals. This information was used not only for religious purposes but also to influence important political decisions, making the Vatican one of the earliest and most effective intelligence services in history. The lost civilizations that rewrite history. While history books teach us that human civilization began in Mesopotamia some 5,000 years ago, recent archaeological discoveries are forcing experts to completely reconsider this chronology. At sites around the world, evidence of much older, advanced civilizations is emerging, challenging everything we thought we knew about human development. In Turkey, the archaeological site of Göbekli Tepe has revolutionized our understanding of the past. Built over 11,000 years ago, this monumental temple complex predates Stonehenge by about 6,000 years. What makes Göbekli Tepe even more impressive is that it was built by people who were presumably still nomadic hunter-gatherers. The stone pillars, some weighing over 16 tons, are decorated with intricate carvings of animals and symbols that have not yet been fully deciphered. But perhaps most disturbing is the fact that Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried some 8,000 years ago. Someone made the conscious decision to completely cover this magnificent complex with tons of earth and stone. Why? The only clues are some symbols on the pillars that seem to represent a cosmic catastrophe, possibly a meteor or comet impact. This isn't the only evidence of lost civilizations. At the bottom of the ocean, off the coast of Japan, lies the mysterious underwater structure of Yonaguni. Discovered by divers in 1987, this stone complex displays features that defy natural explanation. Perfectly straight steps, precise 90-degree angles, and channels that appear to have been deliberately carved. If Yonaguni is indeed a human construction, as many experts believe, it was built when sea levels were much lower, at least 10,000 years ago. In Antarctica, satellite images have revealed structures beneath the ice that some researchers describe as impossible to explain by natural processes. Although access is extremely limited due to the extreme conditions, scientific expeditions have found evidence of ancient human activity, including stone tools and structures dating back to a period when Antarctica theoretically should have been completely frozen. These discoveries raise profound questions about official history. If advanced civilizations existed more than 10,000 years ago, why are there no written records? The answer may lie in the cataclysmic nature of the end of the last ice age. Geological evidence suggests that between 12,000 and 10,000 years ago, Earth experienced a series of catastrophes, meteorite impacts, massive volcanic eruptions, and dramatic climate changes that could have completely wiped out entire civilizations. Intriguingly, cultures around the world hold strikingly similar legends about a lost golden age, a time when humanity possessed advanced knowledge that was lost in a great cataclysm. From Plato's accounts of Atlantis to the Indian Vedic legends of Vimanas, flying machines, there is a consistent pattern of cultural memories of lost technologies and destroyed civilizations. Secret government experiments. During the 20th century, governments around the world conducted secret experiments that challenged not only international law but also the basic bounds of human ethics. Many of these programs remained classified for decades, and some aspects are still considered too sensitive for full disclosure. The CIA's MK-Ultra program is probably the most notorious of these projects. Officially conducted between 1953 and 1973, MK-Ultra sought to develop methods of mind control through drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and other psychological techniques. What makes this program particularly shocking is that many of the experiments were performed on American citizens, without their knowledge or consent. Declassified documents reveal that the CIA distributed LSD to unsuspecting employees, including a case in 1953 where Dr. Frank Olson was unknowingly drugged and subsequently fell from a 13th-story window of a New York hotel. For decades, Olson's death was ruled a suicide, but later evidence suggests he may have been murdered to prevent him from revealing details about biological weapons experiments. The program also included experiments in psychiatric hospitals, where vulnerable patients were subjected to brutal treatments without their consent. At the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Dr. Ewan Cameron conducted CIA-funded experiments that included high-voltage electroshock sessions, massive doses of LSD, and deprogramming techniques that effectively erased patients' personalities. But MK-Ultra was just one of many similar programs. The Soviet Union conducted its own mind control research, including experiments with low-frequency radio waves that could supposedly influence human behavior from a distance. KGB documents suggest they achieved promising results in animal tests, but the extent of human experiments remains classified. In Nazi Germany, medical experiments were conducted in concentration camps that went beyond even the regime's already low standards. Dr. Joseph Mengele and other Nazi doctors conducted experiments that included exposure to extreme temperatures, injections of infectious diseases, and attempts to change eye color through dye injections. Much of this data was secretly transferred to the United States after the war through Operation Paperclip, a program that brought Nazi scientists to work on American projects. Most disturbingly, some aspects of these experiments may have continued in more subtle forms. Recent government documents reveal mass surveillance programs that monitor not only communications, but also the population's behavioral and psychological patterns. Advanced algorithms can now predict and potentially influence behavior on a scale never before imagined. The suppressed technologies. One of the most controversial areas of occult history involves technologies that were developed but later suppressed or classified for reasons beyond national security. These technologies, had they been publicly developed, could have drastically changed the course of human history. Nikola Tesla, perhaps the most visionary inventor in history, developed concepts that were decades ahead of their time. Among his lesser-known innovations was a wireless power transmission system that could theoretically provide free electricity to any location on the planet. The project, known as Wardenclyffe Tower, was initially funded by J.P. Morgan, but funding was cut when Morgan realized that free energy would mean the end of energy companies' profits. After Tesla's death in 1943, FBI agents confiscated all of his documents and equipment. Many of his most advanced inventions, including designs for what he called the death ray, a beam of charged particles capable of bringing down airplanes, were immediately classified. To this day, many of Tesla's documents remain in secret government archives. During World War II, both the Allies and the Axis powers developed technologies that defied conventional understanding of physics. The Germans worked on projects including anti-gravity propulsion and free energy devices based on Tesla's work. Although many of these projects were experimental, witnesses reported successful tests of aircraft that moved in ways that defied the known laws of aerodynamics. After the war, through Operation Paperclip, many of these German scientists were secretly brought to the United States, where they continued their research in highly classified laboratories. Declassified documents suggest that some of these projects produced significant results but were deemed too sensitive for public use. In the 1970s, an American inventor named Stanley Meyer claimed to have developed a car that ran exclusively on water. His water buggy supposedly used electrolysis to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, using the hydrogen as fuel. Meyer held public demonstrations and even received patents for his technology. However, in 1998, Meyer died suddenly during a dinner party, allegedly from poisoning. His technology disappeared, and his patents were subsequently classified for national security. Similar cases involve inventors who claim to have developed free energy devices, high-efficiency motors, and other technologies that could revolutionize society. A consistent pattern emerges. The initial inventor makes dramatic claims, demonstrates the technology to a small group of people, attracts interest from investors or the government, and then the technology mysteriously disappears, often after the inventor's death or disappearance. Classified extraterrestrial contacts, perhaps. No topic is more controversial than the possibility that world governments have knowledge of, and possibly contact with, extraterrestrial intelligence. For decades, this topic was relegated to the realm of science fiction and conspiracy theories. However, recent developments have forced a serious re-evaluation of this possibility. In 2017, the Pentagon officially admitted the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, a military program that investigated unidentified aerial phenomena for over a decade. Along with this admission came authenticated videos of flying objects demonstrating flight capabilities that defy known technology, instantaneous acceleration, impossible changes of direction, and hypersonic speeds with no heat signatures. But evidence of government interest in UFOs goes back much further. Declassified documents show that since the 1940s, militaries from several countries maintained detailed files on unexplained sightings. The U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book investigated more than 12,000 UFO reports between 1952 and 1969, concluding that most had conventional explanations, but admitting that about 700 cases remained unidentified. What makes these cases particularly intriguing are the sources: experienced military pilots, air traffic controllers, and radar technicians with decades of experience. These professionals are trained to identify aircraft and atmospheric phenomena, making their reports of objects with impossible capabilities much more credible. The 1947 Roswell incident, though widely ridiculed in the popular media, presents aspects that remain unexplained. Contemporary military documents show that something did indeed crash in the New Mexico desert, and that the military initially reported the recovery of a flying saucer before quickly changing the official version to a weather balloon. Military witnesses, including Major Jesse Marcel, maintained until their deaths that the debris they examined was not of terrestrial origin. Even more disturbing are the reports of reverse engineering programs. Leaked documents suggest that since the 1940s, government scientists have been attempting to reproduce technologies recovered from UFO crashes. While the veracity of these documents is debated, it is notable that many 20th century technological advances, from integrated circuits to fiber optics, appeared relatively suddenly, without a clearly traceable gradual development. Physicist Bob Lazar, who worked at the highly classified Area 51 in Nevada, publicly claimed in 1989 that he was hired to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. Although Lazar is a controversial figure, some aspects of his claims were later confirmed, including the existence of secret facilities he described years before they were officially recognized. The secret societies that shaped the world throughout history. Secret societies have exerted disproportionate influence on world events. These organizations, operating in the shadows, have often shaped the course of history in ways that we are only now beginning to fully understand. The Knights Templar, officially disbanded in 1312, in reality continued to operate under various guises. Documents discovered in forgotten archives show that many Templars escaped persecution and established new organizations in various countries. In Scotland, they joined stonemason guilds, eventually evolving into what we know today as Freemasonry. This connection explains many of the Masonic rituals and symbols that clearly have Templar origins. The Masonic influence on the formation of the United States is well documented. Many of the founding fathers were Freemasons, including George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and at least 8 signers of the Declaration of Independence. The layout of Washington, D.C. incorporates Masonic symbols into its architecture, and the Great Seal of the United States contains imagery that is clearly of Masonic origin. But Freemasonry was just one of many secret societies active during this period. The Illuminati, founded in Bavaria in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, had explicit goals of infiltrating and influencing government, educational, and religious institutions. Although officially suppressed in 1785, documents from the time suggest that many members simply moved to other secret organizations, taking their ideas and methods with them. In the 19th century, a new wave of secret societies emerged, many focused on specific political goals. The Carbonari in Italy, the Fenians in Ireland, and several revolutionary societies in Russia operated complex networks that stretched across national borders. These organizations not only planned revolutions, but also developed sophisticated techniques of secret communication, clandestine financing, and international coordination. The 20th century saw the emergence of even more powerful secret societies. The Bilderberg Group, founded in 1954, annually brings together political leaders, business people, and intellectuals for private discussions on world issues. Although not officially secret, the meetings are closed to the public and the media, and participants are required to maintain confidentiality about the discussions. Critics argue that these meetings allow a global elite to coordinate policies without democratic oversight. Similarly, organizations such as the Council on Foreign Relations in the United States and the Royal Institute of International Affairs in Great Britain serve as forums where policies are developed away from public scrutiny. Members of these organizations often hold key positions in governments, central banks, and multinational corporations, creating networks of influence that transcend national borders. The financial secrets that control nations behind the seemingly chaotic movements of global financial markets lies a system of control that remains largely hidden from the general public. This system, developed over centuries by powerful banking families and financial institutions, operates through mechanisms that few fully understand. The Rothschild family, often cited in conspiracy theories, actually established an international banking empire in the 18th century that persists to this day. Nathan Rothschild became famous for his manipulation of the British bond market during the Battle of Waterloo, using inside information about the outcome of the battle to generate enormous profits. This technique of using inside information and superior communication networks became the model for modern financial operations. What many people don't realize is that most national central banks are not actually controlled by the governments they supposedly serve. The U.S. Federal Reserve, for example, is technically a private corporation owned by commercial banks. Fed governors are appointed by the president, but operational decisions are made by a board that includes representatives of the owning banks. This structure means that American monetary policy is effectively controlled by private interests. The same pattern repeats itself globally. The Bank of England was privatized in 1694 and remained under private control until 1946. During this period, a small group of banking families effectively controlled the British currency and, by extension, much of the British Empire's economy. Even after nationalization, many of the same families maintained significant influence through advisory positions and private contracts. The Bank for International Settlements, BIS in Basel, Switzerland, serves as the central bank of central banks. Established in 1930, the BIS coordinates policies among national central banks and serves as a forum for international financial cooperation. What makes the BIS particularly intriguing is its legal immunity. As an international organization, it is exempt from oversight by any national government, effectively making it above the law. Leaked documents over the years have revealed that large financial institutions often collaborate to manipulate markets in ways that would be illegal if conducted by individuals or small businesses. The LIBOR scandal, in which large banks collaborated to manipulate one of the world's most important interest rates, is just one example of how these institutions can distort entire markets to their benefit. Even more disturbing is the evidence that financial crises are often orchestrated or at least anticipated by those with inside information. Trading patterns before events like the 1929 crash, the 1987 crisis, and the 2008 crisis suggest that some investors knew in advance about impending troubles and positioned their portfolios accordingly. When we examine these buried secrets together, a clear pattern emerges. The history we have been taught is a simplified and often distorted version of much more complex events. Behind the official narrative of linear progress and random developments lies a reality of deliberate manipulation, suppression of information, and control by powerful elites. This doesn't mean we should completely discard everything we've learned, but rather that we need to approach history with greater skepticism and curiosity. The institutions that have shaped our understanding of the past, governments, churches, academia, the media, all have their own interests and biases. The full truth often requires us to look beyond official sources to declassified documents, suppressed archaeological evidence, and the testimonies of people who had the courage to speak out. What emerges from this deeper investigation is a vision of humanity that is simultaneously more impressive and more disturbing than conventional history suggests. We are seemingly capable of far greater technological and organizational achievements than we generally recognize, but we are also vulnerable to manipulation and control by those who understand how to use information and power in ways most never consider. Perhaps the most important aspect of these buried secrets is what they teach us about the present. The same patterns of information control, market manipulation, and hidden influence that shaped the past continue to operate today. Understanding these patterns not only allows us to better understand history, but also makes us better able to recognize and question the official narratives of our own time. The truth, as the saying goes, will set us free, but only if we have the courage to seek it, even when it contradicts what we prefer to believe. The buried secrets of history are not just relics of the past. They are keys to understanding the present and shaping a more conscious and free future. Ultimately, these secrets remind us that history isn't something that simply happens to us. It's something we create through our choices, actions, and, crucially, our willingness to seek and accept the truth. No matter how inconvenient it may be, the past may be buried, but it's not lost forever. With persistence, courage, and an open mind, we can unearth these secrets and use them to build a more complete and honest understanding of who we are and where we came from.